Welcome to the Illuminati broadcast. I'm your host, David Moore. Welcome. Howdy, y'all. Okay, so I'm Ashkenazi, so that means I'm Jewish, right? So, Jewish from Germany. When Noah and the flood landed, he had 3 kids. One of those kids started the Ashkenazi line, and he was from Germany. So he ruled over that area, and then they moved down to Israel later on. And then they moved through Greece, Rome, and up to Ireland, and then they started conquering England, and then they just kept going all over the earth and just creating nations. So I would be Levitic because my bloodlines comes from the Levites, where they worked on the tabernacle and they were the high priests and they were the kings or whatever. So I'd be related to like King David and Jesus, etc. All right, so we have, this is the ephod or the elon. So an elon would be like the scroll, but a handmade scroll that you make in Kabbalah. But this would be the ephod, right? So this would be my version of the elon, and it'd be the ephod. This is what the high priest would wear on their chest, the breastplate. And then the light would hit it, it would reflect the words, and they would decipher what it meant. And then you have the Urim and the Thumb, so like the truth, and then the, I wouldn't say it's a lie or false, but it's the yes and the no, right? So yes, there's light, no, there's no light on this side. So basically these are the 2 pillars of Boaz. So then you have Elijah and Enoch, right? Let me get the book in a little bit, but let's count the days. So we're in March. Here we are. And for Pisces, if you notice, Pisces there's 2 parts for Pisces. The ancient astrology, which is like the first primal. So this would be, I guess you could say, the Titans in Greek mythology. But this is where he is. So he's right here still with Saturn, right next to Saturn, but he's also still next to Jupiter. So that's why he's water. Jupiter represents water. So does the moon, but so if you notice, Mars represents fire, the sun represents fire, but there's 2 of them. Jupiter represents water, the moon represents water, but there's 2 of them. It's like they're deacons, right? So in a sense, these would be the archangels, and then these would be the angels that they preside over. So you have Pisces here, Jupiter, and then Pisces here and Saturn. So Pisces, Jupiter, Pisces, Saturn, Pisces, Saturn. So you get the idea already that Pisces is always going to be Jupiter because Pisces is water. So that's like a fact. But on its like secondary node or whatever, it would be the Saturn. So it has this duality. That's why it has the 2 fishes. And you have some fish that eat humans and some that don't. So sharks and whales, etc. Or just fish, because whales are mammals. But whatever, who cares? So Jupiter is the throat chakra, the voice. And that's usually represented with like the flood and Leviathan and what's his name? Jonah, the whale. Yeah, so if we see that this is Jupiter, Jupiter is Zeus in Greek mythology. That represents the day of Thursday, Thor's day. So that lets you know this is Thursday, right? So on the Thursdays of March, those are going to be like really high energy days. But let's count to the 17th because we're at the 16th right now. Yeah, we're on the 16th, and I think St. Patrick's Day is on the 17th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's what today looks like. Tomorrow looks like this. So this is kind of aligns a little bit, like usually, let's say there's a synchronicity, right? So we have St. Patrick's Day on the 17th right here, and that's on a Tuesday, but if you notice, it's falling on an air sign. And these air signs, obviously a Duke and Libra, they're green. Air is represented by green. So that lets you know that there's some kind of synchronicity with St. Patrick's Day because it's usually represented by the color green and March. So we got March and we got green. So it's like the death of something old and the beginning of something new. Let's see what else we have. But that's going to be on a Tuesday. So this is the symbol for Tuesday. Aries is the symbol for Tuesday. So we got this red energy and we got this air energy. So it lets you know that this is going to be like a very powerful day. Maybe there's going to be a lot of violence. There's going to be a lot of money. There's going to be something in the world that's going to be like very, very powerful that's going to happen tomorrow. And not necessarily it's going to be something that everybody's going to see. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be, but for the most part, whatever's happening around the world is going to fuel these energies for the rest of the year. And it's going to just bring in a whole bunch of wealth and power and control. So tomorrow's going to be a very good day for like investors, because they're going to invest into this war power to create a new beginning, because these align. So that lets you know if there's something that aligns with the prophecy, then it's going to be enhanced. So Thursday is very important this month. They keep talking about the Messiah on the Thursday. And then the BB Yahoo's like, not Thursday, but whatever happens on Thursday is gonna even fuel more of the Messiah prophecy. So let's see, because remember, March, Zeus, Thursday, right? So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's gonna land on this day. If we look here, this will probably be 36, 38, 40. So we will look up whatever spirit is 39 and 40 on the Ars Goetia, because 39 would be the daytime and 40 would be the nighttime. So we'll look at whatever spirit is ruling over those energies. 39 and 40, I believe. Let's get the book for that, all right? We can't memorize everything. That's why we got to write it down and have it, that's why we have books. And, your ephod or your elon, and it's personal to you. Like you adjust it the way you want to adjust it and make it the way you want. I wanted to make sure I got everything right down to a T. This has the 365 days. This has the 24 hours in a day. This has everything that I need to be able to decipher what's going on. The astrology signs, where the sun is going to be at the certain time of day, etc. And like what it's representing. So if we look at 39, I feel like that's Malthus or somebody like that. Let's see, 39. Malthus. The 39th spirit is Malthus. He appears at first like a crow, but after he will put on human shape at the request of the exorcist. So already what we got from this, Malthus is the 39th spirit. He appears at first like a crow. So if might notice crows, that could be like Morgana or Morgan. And this is going to be the Thursday, right? So a crow and Thursday. Maybe you could look into the symbology of like what Thor has in common with the crow, right? Things like that. They're just little keys that help you tie everything together. But after a while, he puts on human shape at the request of the exorcist, and speaks with the hoarse voice. Usually with crows in the Key of Solomon, they work with the wolves. So the crows will fly around somewhere and they'll reveal something for the wolves to go and attack. Like if there's like an injured animal, the crows will fly around there and be like, hey, wolves, come attack this injured animal. And he speaks with a hoarse voice. So he's like a man with a hoarse voice, like a very deep, strong, hoarse voice, right? He is a mighty president and powerful. So a president is going to be represented by the earth signs, and those are from the north, and they represent stability. So this would be the area of the presidents, the north. See this yellow? And these yellow coins? These are all going to be earth signs. But we also have earth right here. And we have earth right here, and we have earth right here in a combination with air. So earth and air, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is an earth sign, but Gemini is an air sign. So there's this duality, right? So if you wanted to work with this spirit, this president, all you have to do is be like, all right, well, let's say he's a Gemini and he's earthy. Geminis can travel between heaven and hell, and that's what they represent. They ascend into heaven. And then you could be like, well, let's look at the Virgo and that president energy. Well, it's speaking for you, because when you go to speak to the scales of death or whatever, when you die and you go and you get judged, God is looking at you and he's like, all right, this is you, this is what you've done, and this is your heart. Like, where were your intentions? What were you trying to do with your life? And you explain for yourself. And then you have the cornucopia here with Capricorn, and that's like abundance. So you could be like, well, I need abundance, I need a good reputation, and I need to learn a lot. And then you could also be right here with these earthly energies. But you have Taurus right here with love, and you could be like, well, I need lots of attention, I need love, I need stability and consideration, things like that, to learn like what can you tap into in those days, or what can that day produce, because this day is gonna bring in all those energies, because obviously that's Malthus's job. He can build high towers, houses and high towers. That's really good. And right now, Donald Trump is trying to build a ballroom for the White House, which is a great idea because we need things like that. And this is what's going to happen. So that's going to fuel those funds. Him working right now to get it done so that when this day comes, everything's signed, everything's settled, and everything's paid for. And he's going to pay out of his own pocket or something like that. But he's not using tax dollars, which means that he's very successful. He can build houses and high towers. You can also see this in a different way too. Let's say you need a house. He can help you build a house. He can help you build a foundation, like whatever you need. So when you do step work and AA, and you want to build your house, which is your 12-step program, he can help you build that. Like, all right, your foundation, your belief in God and who you are as a person, all the things that you've done in your life, what do you need to do to make amends, and then finally, how will you carry out that message? That's what a house is. And houses are also like where the zodiac signs fall. These are the houses of the zodiac signs. Towers, you can also do that for good or for bad. You could build a tower to like build somebody up and break it down and have them destroy themselves, or you could build a tower to protect yourself and to see the world and to get a better grasp of knowledge. So you're building a tower here, you're seeing the world like the Eye of Sauron, and you can also build a tower here of like your dreams and your hopes and your desires. So like what are you motivated for the daytime, and what are you motivated for the night? Like, it's just good for planning. And that's what presidents do. They plan a lot, right? And they're powerful. They can build high towers. Bring to thy knowledge enemies' desires and thoughts, and that which they have done. So you could build a tower, and you could see everything that everybody's doing and knowing what's in their mind. Because Earth is this mentality, because it's a seed, and your brain is a seed. It's encased inside a shell, right? And your brain has all this knowledge, and it has more shells inside of it, more DNA, more atoms, more information, more electrons. Those are the seeds, right? So the tree grows, obviously, like a sprout. It starts spreading its leaves. It grows fruit. The fruit falls. They become seeds. And then the cycle begins again. So that's what it's teaching you, right? He gives good familiars. Also, since it's saying knowledge of enemies' desires and thoughts that he can bring to you, it's good because it keeps you ahead of the game. Like, hey, like, what do people expect from me? Do they expect me to succeed or fail? Because everybody does have an opinion on you, and you don't have to say like, hey, I think everybody's out to get me, but you can just be more mindful of the situation. Being mindful is not a bad thing. I guess what I want to bring up is there's this girl in AA who's always bugging me. She's like trying to run my program for me, and I'm just like, girl, back up. Like, I don't need you. She's like, do you know anything about this? Because like I was teaching this to somebody, and every time she would walk into the room, I would change the subject to astrology, because I didn't want her to know that I was doing step work with him, and that this is how I practice my step work, how I connect with God. This is my higher power. It's something that's private between me and my higher power, and I'm sharing it with him. And he's not judging me. He's not saying anything bad. He's just like asking questions, and he's just curious, and he's probably one of the most kindest persons I've ever met that can take this information and not throw it back at me and say that it's a lie, because it's not a lie, it's just facts, right? And she was trying to do that, and I was like, girl, back up. Like, this is not your story, this is not your expertise, this is not your field, this is none of your business. Get your nose out of my business, girl. And I told her, I was like, I have a bubble, and you keep trying to pop that bubble. I'm not gonna let you pop my bubble. Like, I'm just gonna avoid you. Like, I'm not gonna fight her, I'm not gonna do anything like that. I'm not gonna argue with her because she's nuts. So I'm like, girl, there's no point. I will never win a fight against you, because it's not worth it. That fight is not worth it. So I was like, bye, adios. But that guy's really nice, he's really kind, and every time she would walk in the room, the energy would change. And we were having fun learning about this because I was just teaching him about the signs, why they are represented with the elements, and what the stories were behind the Greek mythology, and how they tie into Christianity, or like just different beliefs. Because I believe all religions are one religion. I don't separate them. I keep them together because they're all just different versions of the tale, you know. Like we have Stephen King, we have R.L. Stein, we have H.P. Lovecraft, and Anne Rice, and then we have Stephanie Myers, and they all tell a scary story a different way. And some people like them, some people don't. A lot of people like these ones, a lot of people like those ones. It's all different, but it's all the same thing. It's all just this, not a fantasy, but it's a great way to see the world from somebody else's view, or even mix your own views into them and create your own story, right? It's just a beautiful process, and there's nothing wrong with it. All right, he gives good familiars. So that makes sense, right? Because Earth has this familiar energy. You're like boom, 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 growing. So like, let's say you wanted to do a spell to have a familiar. Maybe you could create something out of clay, and like this would be a good time to charge it and let it evolve on its own. You have to let things evolve on their own. Sure, you can make them, detail them. Maybe you can add diamonds to his eyes, or you can give him wings, or you can develop him. And even if you just draw it out or draft it, that's a great way to do things. And then you just let it breathe, you let it live. So when I teach people about this stuff, I just give them what it is and I let it breathe. I don't try to force it down their throats. I don't try to tell them how it works. I just say, this is what it is, and it's up to you how you use it next, because it's your journey. Yeah. But if it's like, if you're gonna try to throw it back at me and try to make me look stupid, it's just like, no, like, it's not worth it. Like, I don't have time for that. Like, this is not a discussion, it's not a debate, it's just me giving out my knowledge. And then she was like, oh, can you give him advice on how to be a better YouTuber? And I'm like, girl, I don't make YouTube for anybody, just for me. I just make it as a journal. I just make it as a way for me to hear my own voice, to see what I've been working on, to look at what I want to look at. And then I hear my voice and I'm like, I sound beautiful. I love the way I sound. I love the way I pronounce my words. I love everything about my videos. Like, I like it. Like, I don't edit them because they feel nice to me. And like, I don't need you to tell me how to do anything. Like, whatever you're trying to do, you're just trying to be nosy, you're just trying to butt in, be mindful. Like, my mom would be like, if two adults are talking, you don't just jump into their conversation. Like, you mind your own business. And that's what she needs to learn how to do. I'm like, obviously you didn't grow up with parents that taught you any rules, and that's a hard fact, because if you did, you would not be butting into people's conversations and trying to control a narrative. Like, no, just keep your mouth shut, take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth. That means shut up and listen. All right, you don't have to judge anybody, you don't have to do any of that. Like, girl, like, you've been in the rooms long enough. Like, don't pretend like you're new and that you don't know what's going on. Like, just back up and mind your own damn business. And I was like, we're not friends. Like, we can't be friends. Like, I'm not gonna, whatever you're doing with your life, I'm not gonna be part of that, because you are on a different trajectory and everyone else can be a part of that with you, but I'm not. And I don't need to be. No means no. It's final. It's a period. Like, I don't need you to give me any excuses why. I don't need anything from you. I am self-sufficient without you, and I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna keep it moving, because I don't need to stay in your zone. I don't need to stay in your lane. I just gotta keep going. Like, bye, girl. Like, whatever you're going through, that's you. If other people want to help you, that's on them. I'm not judging them, and I'm not judging you. Like, I'm just gonna keep moving. All right. He gives good familiars. If thou makes a sacrifice unto him, he will receive it kindly and willingly, but he will deceive him that doth it. Deception is not a bad thing. Deception could be an illusion, right? So if you're creating a familiar and he's giving you all these ideas, he's not... Remember, these spirits are not separate from us. They're part of us. They're just different parts of our brain that we are using. So it's creating an illusion, right? So it's a deception. Like, I want to create a Pegasus with red eyes and a yellow horn, and I want to give him purple wings. That's a deception, because that's not a real thing. Not yet, at least. But it's not real for the most part. Like, it's a deception, right? It's just a thought in your head. but it can become reality, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a good thing. Like when I was making this, I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna make it, but I'm gonna try. So then I just kept trying and trying and trying and trying and trying, and after rough draft after rough draft after rough draft, it got perfected. And I used this book, and I used a whole bunch of other information, and I used a whole bunch of other resources like chessboards and Chinese games, and you get this result. So I'm like, okay, like all my hard work and effort paid off. That deception paid off, because people said it was a lie. People would say it's not true. People would say it's not real, and now it is real. So it's like he will indulge you on your fantasies. Like when you're an author and you're writing, like you're not literally there, but you're writing down a story and you're creating something, right? That's your familiar, you're creating. And you're sacrificing your time, right, and your energy into this thing, and it's a deception, but he kindly receives it, and he deceives you. So he's like taking your time and he's deceiving you, but it's not a bad thing. But you can make it a bad thing. Like let's say we create a stone, right, a magical stone, and we throw it at somebody, not literally like at their skin, but like in the spiritual realm, and then they follow that stone, and that stone will deceive them and take up their time, and you can take them to the gallows and destroy them. But it's all up to you how you want to do things. And if I do it that way, that's my business, because at the end of the day, it's not hurting nobody. It can't. It's just in your head. It's just a prayer. But if you fall for it, that's on you, because you're the one that's doing it, right? It's like being the perfect con man, I guess. All right, well, Moses had to do it. He had to take the people out of Egypt. He had to fight back. And he had to suffer, and he had to take the rewards. He had to do everything, right? So he was willing to do what was necessary. But that's a president energy, so that's yellow. So like let's say you wear yellow on Thursday, you're going to have good luck. So like yellow and blue, anything that's yellow and blue is going to be pretty lucky on Thursday. 40, Raum. The 40th spirit is Raum. He is a great earl and appears at first in the form of a crow, but after the command of the exorcist, he puts on human shape. So you got these two crows, right, that are just flying around. So it's going to let you know that this day is going to be, I don't want to say a dark day, but a day for being able to do dark magic, right? But after the command of the exorcist, he puts on human shape. Usually when you're like working with the spirit and it comes in the form of an animal, and then he comes in the human shape, it can be literal. So he can literally take the shape of a man. So the crow will turn into a man, or that you will meet somebody that first the crow will be like, hey, I'm here, something's gonna happen. And then you meet somebody. It's not gonna happen on that day. It can happen on another day, and it can happen on that day. You're gonna meet somebody, and they're gonna tell you things that are gonna help you on your journey. He's gonna possess them to tell you something, right? To like bring you a message. That's why people are like, Jesus put something in my heart to tell you. That's what that is, okay? He puts on human shape. His office is to steal treasure out of kings' houses and to carry it whether he is commanded, and to destroy cities and dignities of men, and to tell things past and what is and what will be, and cause the love between friends and foes. He was the order of thrones. He governs 30 legions. All right, so his office is to steal treasures out of kings' houses. So this is a good job. That's why it's kind of good, right? So Thursday, if it's the Messiah idea, then his job is going to be to take the money from the people, right? And be like, and money is money, remember? Because this is earth. So if you look at this as a scale and you put your gold coins here and you put the product you're trying to weigh it on, and then you'll be like, okay, like, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? So he's really good at that, to be able to fund you. So he's like, hey, I'll go tell this guy to fund you or invest into you. And it takes practice. It doesn't happen like, oh yeah, I want it this way. But sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. It all depends on how you're working the energy. So that's why Trump is like, you know what? I'm going to find a way to pay for this ballroom. It's just an example, okay? His office is to steal treasure out of king's houses and to carry it whether he is commanded. So like he'll invest it wherever you command him to invest it into. So he's very loyal in a sense where like he'll do what you need him to do, and he's a little bit not too flaky. and to destroy cities and dignities of men. So this is a great time for war, because he's gonna go and destroy a lot of the cities that are like in war against us. And even the enemy can use something like this. So let's say like Iran wanted to destroy LA. This is like their moment to shine, because they're gonna be successful in it. Most likely, if they do it right, they will be successful. But remember, Iran is being pulled by Jewish forces. So whatever the Jews say, the Iranians will do it. And it's behind the scenes, because nobody knows what's going on. Because what they want to do is build this narrative. Just like when you have a movie, you always do the previews of the movie for everybody to get excited about it, right? And then finally when the movie comes out, you execute it. And then after that, you start selling products, right? So you'll sell like toys or t-shirts, and then you'll get tons of fans, and then they'll invest in it, and then it starts booming up the market. So it's all just the control of the stock market. It's all control of the narrative. Let's see. And they use this formula. This is a very famous formula. If you watch Pinky and the Brain, the first episode is about Baal. It's about being invisible. And you'll notice a lot of toads. You'll notice a lot of green. You'll notice a lot of like Illuminati symbolism that is like, oh dang, so this is usually how they follow the narrative. And they do it by the twos, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And they'll do that in seasons too. So like when you first watch a show, you'll get this part of the show, and then the second season, third season, fourth season, fifth season, sixth season, seventh season, eighth season, and then you're finally done, right? He can destroy dignities of men as well. So like let's say if somebody's trying to ruin Donald Trump, they're gonna try really hard to ruin him around this time of the month. And this makes sense because who was it? Ben Shapiro, you see him having like drama. This is them trying to destroy dignities of men. So they destroy each other for funds, right? So they'll be like, well, I'll talk crap about her so she can get followers, and she'll talk crap about me so I can get followers. And everybody starts talking crap about each other, and they're just fueling the fire, but they're really working for each other, and they're not in opposition. They're with each other, even if they talk crap about each other. Just like Tati, she's like, oh, I hate Jeffree Star, and then Jeffree Star's like, I hate Tati, but at the end of the day, people are investing in them. They're like, oh, I'll buy their makeup because I want to choose a side, right? So when you watch Twilight, what do? Edward or Jacob, and then they'll invest no matter what it is, right? And they'll tell you the past and what is and what will be. So this is like great for stock market exchanges of like, oh, who's going to be successful, who's not going to be successful. But at the end of the day, just as long as you're putting that energy into something, it's gonna be successful, right? And to cause love between friends and foes. So that's that love between friends and foes. They're exchanging love even if they're not happy together, but you can always use this for good. So like let's say that girl, she's a foe, right? I can make her love me. I can make her love me in a sense, not like, oh, I need you, but in a way where she can just back up and she can leave me alone and she can appreciate my space and not mess with my bubble. That's what love is. Like you can create that. Those boundaries. Okay, so that's all on that energy for Thursday. And if we see that for the Messiah, that's a good thing, because now they'll be like, okay, who's the Antichrist? Who's the Messiah? Who's this? Who's that? And they're going to start building up this market because everybody's following this trend. Like whenever a trend does really good, everybody invests in it. Like right now, everybody's investing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because even on the boxes that nobody wants, because later on somebody's going to want to open that box and relive that memory. But right now they're investing in it. And with Yu-Gi-Oh, they invest in stuff like that because those are Illuminati trends. So those would be like credit cards, debit cards, banks, let's see what else, occultism, religion, because Yu-Gi-Oh has all of those things. It's going to invest even in like war supplies, because usually dragons represent war supplies. The angels represent military men. The magicians represent like the politicians, and priests and things like that. So you have different like variables, and those will go and branch out into those areas and create a streamline effect where it enhances whatever their stock market is. So like let's say with the Labubus, everybody invested in the Labubus, and it increased the retail for like children's things. So maybe instead of going to Disneyland, they were spending their money on Labubus. But if there were no Labubus, they would go to Disney. But since they invested in the Labubus, now you have money for China, and China could build more drones, and then they could put those drones to use in a war, like the Strait of Hormuz. They're trying to take it over, so they're like, hey China, hey Russia, you guys got to help us. Like every nation got to help us destroy Iran. So they're backed up by that money because everybody in America bought Labubus, so they're basically funding whatever military might is in a different nation. We're already at 30 minutes, and now we know a lot. This is how you do it. This is how you work it. This is how you foretell the future. Stock market, exchanges, that's why they say Jews are good with money, and obviously I am. But I'm also Irish, so we're warriors. Jewish people are warriors, so it's like a double warrior. And that's Gemini. Geminis are Spartans. Do your research. You're going to be born under the sign that is probably related most to you, and even in your family. But yeah, so this is really great information to have. It's great to just be knowledgeable, and it's great to just keep growing and expanding who you are and creating your own narrative and your own story, and taking into consideration what other people think and say, and being mindful of your actions and the actions of others. And, just working on your inventory and getting people to, admit to who they are and what they want in life. All right, thank you. Bye.